Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Rentz here, host of the Raiders Report. We got some breaking news. The Las Vegas Raiders have signed outside linebacker, edge rusher Malik Reed. Yes, this is only a practice squad signing as of now, but I do think it's only a matter of time before the Raiders end up promoting Reed to their active roster because, let's face it, I see a lot of people right now down in the comments section, and I want y'all to go down and let me know, A, B, C, D, or F. I want you to grade this move. If this was during free agency, because I saw what Buckethead was saying down below, and I totally agree with him. If this was during free agency, this would be a C-ish move, and as it is right now, it's kind of a C move. But where this team is defensively and the fact that this team needs help being able to get after the quarterback, it's a C move that if Reed's able to go out and get after the QB, it could be a B move. It could also be that I'm just going live here because I'm so desperate for good news around the silver and black that he might never, ever get even activated to the 53. But I'm telling y'all right now, if the Raiders, with the current state of their edge rushing group, with the current state of their defensive line group, if they don't promote Reed, shame on them. This is a player that they brought in on a visit. He was with the Miami Dolphins practice squad earlier this offseason. You have nothing to lose whatsoever in terms of playing him. So what I want to know right now, we're going to give some shout-outs here on the Raiders Report. I want you to grade the signing, A, B, C, D, or I want you to give it an F. And right now I'm looking at the live poll. It's like 45% B. I want to say 34% C, and I think all those answers are okay. B is probably because people wanted the edge rusher, and for a long, long time, we've been sitting here waiting for the Raiders to do something defensively. But if you wanted somebody as a Chandler Jones replacement, you're not going to be able to fill the shoes of Chandler, at least not the shoes that the Raiders were hoping for. But on the video that I dropped last week about potential Chandler Jones replacements, one of the names on that list was Malik Reed. I'll also say this, though. I wish the Raiders would have brought in Kyle Van Noy. He ended up signing with the Baltimore Ravens yesterday. I would rather have Melvin Ingram. I would rather have Robert Quinn. I would rather have Quincy Roche probably would have been better last week because he was a Pittsburgh Steeler. To me, the Raiders finally did something. That's good news. But is this a slam dunk signing by any means? No. But you know what my job here is? To keep you guys up to date. So anytime that the Raiders make a move, I want to be able to talk about it. I want to be able to discuss it. So if you guys want to get your 2 cents in, if you want to chop it up, you can use hashtag Raiders or you can super chat to talk about it. So let's give some shout outs here. We Out Here Entertainment spamming C. Diehard Raider fan says C. We got Will Thompson, McDaniels still eat corns the long way. Hey, sometimes it is what it is, right? Vincenzo C. You want to shout out here on the Raiders Report? Give me your sign or your grade for this move. I would definitely appreciate it. Ivan B. Robert Jansen. It's good to see you with a B. Ivan's going to go with a B. Rebel. It's something. Kyle KTMC. And I agree with Rebel. At this state, you lose to the Buffalo Bills, you lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I need and want some good information. I need some good news around what the Raiders are doing. So what Chugs and I are going to do today is we're going to continue to break down this news. I kind of want to get into it. Let's get the cutout, and then we will continue to answer all of y'all's questions. So please get those questions, comments on the show. Use hashtag Raiders. And then if you want to skip the line, you can super chat in order to do so. Robert V says D+. If we don't put him on the 53, it's an F. You're probably not wrong with that. It would probably be an F if the Raiders did not put him on the 53-man roster. Diehard Raiders Report fan says duck race. We might be able to do a duck race a little bit later on today's show. I don't know how long I'll stay live for because my schedule today is a little bit crazy on Wednesdays, but I will do my best to make sure that you guys are updated, and I will do my best here to make sure that we're rocking and rolling with all the info. So as soon as Chugs gives me the thumbs up, we're going to get into the whole story around the Raiders signing Malik Reed, why I like it, what I'm hoping for going forward with the silver and black. Chuggy Boy, you ready? Chugs, give me a thumbs up. All right, let's get in now to the breaking news around the Las Vegas Raiders. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Rents here. We got some breaking news. The Las Vegas Raiders have signed edge rusher Malik Reed. Coming up here on the show, I'll tell you why I like the move, why I believe that the Raiders ended up doing it, and hopefully they end up promoting him to the 53-man roster because as it stands right now, he is a member of the practice squad, but I do think that's only going to be a short time lived. If you love the Raiders and you always find yourself looking for news, I got you covered here. I'm a diehard Raider fan just like all of y'all, and when I saw the news that the Raiders signed Malik Reed, don't get me wrong, the move is a very type of move, but after the Bills game, after the Pittsburgh Steelers game, the fact that Josh McDaniels finally added something to this defensive line, the fact that this team finally said, you know what, maybe we do need to give Max Crosby some help. Maybe we do need to add an edge rusher to be able to get after the quarterback. That's why I'm here, because I need something to celebrate. I need something positive to talk about, or else I'm going to go clinically insane. And if you feel the exact same way, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you turn on those notifications. That way, anytime breaking news happens, we got you covered here. All right, let's continue to talk about Malik Reed. So last week, I did a segment around Chandler Jones replacements, and one of the names on my Chandler Jones replacement video was, in fact, Malik Reed. He was on the Miami Dolphins practice squad, and most of y'all probably remember him from when he played with the Denver Broncos a little bit earlier on in his career from 2019 to 2021. He was a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers last season, but he did visit with the Silver and Black earlier this month. I want to say that his visit was right before week 2, if my memory serves me correct. And I talked about Reed and I talked about Quincy Roche as the top 2 players that if the Raiders end up bringing somebody in, I think it's between those 2 guys. I had a source tell me that, and then the fact that they worked both of them out. He has played in 59 games. He has started in 36. He has 16 career sacks. Like, I'm not going to say that Malik Reed is going to totally change this defense. And if you hear anybody saying that, they're just trying to pump up the numbers a little bit, right? But this is a depth move if the Raiders end up moving him to the 53-man roster, because realistically, I look at the Raiders practice squad, I would promote Mykal Walker and I would promote Malik Reed right now from that practice squad onto their active roster. But the reason that the Raiders needed to do this move is because their defensive end group, their edge rushers, it's still a big-time question mark. We know that we have Max Crosby. We know that we have one of the best defensive ends in the National Football League. But outside of that, there's just too many unknowns. Like Tyree Wilson is 100% not healthy. Malcolm Koonce has been playing a lot better and actually deserves more playing time. And I think the way that the Raiders use Malcolm Koonce is kind of what you're going to see them do with Malik Reed. And I'll talk about that a little bit more because Reed is a lot better of a run stopper than what Koonce is. But Chandler Jones, still nowhere to be found, and maybe Reed's here to help out a little bit. From a linebacker position, Robert Spillane has played solid. Divine Diablo has played solid. And, you know, I go back and I think about all the times I use the word versatility in the offseason, and yet it doesn't really seem like versatility is much of a factor this year with Patrick Graham because, well, they're doing the same thing over and over and over again. So if we do want to go back to doing what the Raiders said that they were going to do in the offseason, and they were going to be a versatile team, top to bottom, you could potentially use Malik Reed as a linebacker, but you could also use him as an edge rusher. So anytime breaking news happens, I got you covered here no matter how big or small the news truly is. So the question that I really want to ask you is, how about this? All right, this is the ballsy one, Chugs wants. Will Malik Reed start for the Raiders? Give me a yes or give me a no down below. For those of you watching this live, I need to know. For those of you that aren't watching this live, we're live right now on the Raiders Report, and we might still be live. But anytime something happens, we sit up here and we discuss it. In terms of will Malik Reed end up starting for the Las Vegas Raiders this week? No, I don't see it end up happening. Like, I'm hoping that he ends up getting promoted. And the fact that he is on the practice squad as it stands right now is the hope that he does end up getting promoted, because last week they promoted Isaac Rochelle. Isaac Rochelle should probably just stick to TikTok at this point of his career because he's not doing too much on the football field. Now, I'll get into how I think he's going to impact this defense, why the Raiders did it in terms of Chandler Jones, Malcolm Koonce, and why I am excited about the move, and I'll give you my grade at the very end, and I'm going to want to know what your grade is too. However, before I get into all that, got a sponsor shout out here on today's show, and I've got to show some love to PrizePicks because we've had a lot of sponsors here on the Raiders Report. This is one of my favorites, and the reason I always say that this one is one of my favorites for people who have watched this show for a long time, the real one for life, the OGs. Y'all know I'm a fantasy football dude at heart, and I've been using PrizePicks for a very, very long time. So the fact that they are here from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you to each and every one of y'all. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy. PrizePicks is the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this football season. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. For you watching live, you can find the link right now down in the comments and in the description. For those of you not watching live, guess what? Down in the description as well. All right, so go get quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Also, on top of that, I wanted to show you what picks I'm going to be making, and I'm telling y'all, this entire year, I'm making picks around Raiders football games or things that I like to make picks on. So for Justin Herbert, 284.5 passing yards, I'm just going to be more on that because it's the Raiders defense after all. Fantasy's about having fun. Darren Waller, less, 45.5 receiving yards. Josh Jacobs will find the end zone. He has yet to find the end zone this season, so give me more on the 0.5 overall touchdowns. But, man, I'm telling y'all, I've been playing PrizePicks for a very long time, and if you love doing fantasy, I think you're going to love this as well. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Now, let's continue to look here at this Raiders defense because, well, this is one of the reasons why I'm going with more with Justin Herbert. And I still, just because I'm going with more, doesn't mean that the Raiders are going to lose. I hope, obviously, that the Raiders win. But this defense needs a spark. Raider Nation needs a spark. And I'm hoping Malik Reed is able to provide that. Points allowed per game, 25.7. I will admit that I do think the Raiders defense deserves a little bit more credit than maybe what they are getting because the offense, for example, is 31st in the NFL with plays. And what do I mean by that? It means they're on the field barely at all. 53 plays per game, which is 31st in the league. But I need somebody that helps the Raiders get off the field on third down because at 46.15%, that's terrible. And how's an easy way to be able to get off the field on third down? What's an easy way to make sure that Justin Herbert doesn't hit that more? Because I'll tell you this, I would love to be wrong on that pick. It's getting your edge rushers, getting your defensive line up the field to get after your quarterback. That way your secondary and your linebackers don't have to cover guys for 4, 5, 6 seconds. Because you know who needs help? This guy. I feel bad for Max. And Max will never admit it. But I think he's got to look himself in the mirror and be like, holy crap, man, if I just had something around me, it would be amazing. And I honestly think that if he had something around him, the NFL would give him the respect. The NFL community would give him the respect that he deserves because he is truly one of the best edge rushers, truly one of the best defensive ends in the league. He just gets doubled and triple teamed all the time because, let's face it, you would do the exact same thing. He's got 15 tackles. He's got 2 sacks. Giggity. But the one player that I know a lot of Raider fans have been waiting on to make a spark, it's Tyree Wilson. And here's the thing. He's not healthy. And Tyree Wilson is being put in a position that is unfair to him at the same time when you're the number 7 overall pick, at the same time when you're on a team that needs defensive help, at the same time when you're on a team that's missed on all of their first-round picks essentially since 2018. The stakes are going to be a little bit higher when it comes to Tyree. But Tyree Wilson was not anticipated to play this year, at least not off the beginning. They were hoping to have Chandler Jones. So Chandler Jones is not available. Tyree Wilson is not healthy. So what do? They go out and they add somebody that has some past playing experience, some past experience in the AFC West and played his best football in the AFC West, and that's Malik Reed. The other thing that I think Reed's going to be able to bring to the table, instead of not just being able to get after the quarterback, we always sit up here and say, Malcolm Koonce, right? We always say Malcolm Koonce is a good pass rusher, which he is. He's terrible against the run, though. Malik Reed, think of him as like a Malcolm Kuntz-esque player, not as good of a pass rusher, but a much better player in the run game. So if you want to be able to circulate Kuntz and Malik Reed in certain situations where, all right, if I think that they're going to run, I can put Malik Reed out there on the field as an edge rusher / outside linebacker. If I think they're going to pass, you have Malcolm Kuntz out there to be able to pin his ears back and go out and get the quarterback. But the other thing is experience. We need more players that have experience, especially in the AFC West. Like, I truly, truly believe that. And I'm not going to sit up here and say you're going to get the Reed from 2020 when he had 8 sacks, 53 tackles. I think that was the year Von Miller ended up getting hurt, or somebody ended up getting hurt for the Broncos, and he was put in a position to go out there and succeed. So with that, I have seen a player that, all right, you give him some playing time, maybe gets his feet wet a little bit, and who knows? The momentum can shift. I know this. The Raiders needed a change. There's no doubt about it. And if you think that the Raiders didn't need a change, well then, I don't know what 2 games you've been watching, but maybe you're a lot happier off. Hell, I saw on social media that a Raider fan of 40 years wrote the Raiders and said he's not watching games anymore because it's not good for his mental health. Malik Reed signing is good for my mental health, which is why I'm up here talking about it. If you were curious about his PFF grades, snaps last season, 369. This was with the Pittsburgh Steelers. An overall grade of 63.8. A run defense grade of 72.1. A pass rush grade of 50.9. But Reed, to me, was a player that I brought up during my Chandler Jones replacements because I've said up here on this show, and I'll say it again, I hope Chandler Jones, and I wish Chandler nothing but the best. I think every single person here as a Raider fan agrees with this statement of, I pray for Chandler. Everybody wants him to be okay as a human being. But from the Raiders' standpoint in me was, you were signed to this team to be a big-time contributor, and you're not here. From a Raider fan standpoint, I am very frustrated with Chandler Jones. From a human standpoint, I want you to get right. I think we can all agree on that, right? But for Chandler Jones and the recent around him, they placed him on the NFI list for a personal matter, which was last week. He's out a minimum of 4 games. He already missed 1, so now he's going to miss at minimum 3 more. But I'm telling you right now, I don't think you're ever going to see Chandler Jones on a football field again because if I'm an NFL owner, if I'm an NFL head coach, I get you might want to win football games. And sure, maybe Chandler Jones when he's out there helps you. But from like the person standpoint, I just don't think that you can put him out there on the field with his current situation, we'll call it. So how about this? Let's talk about Malik Reed real quick here. And I want you to grade the signing. For those of you that are watching this live, there is a live poll at the very, very top right now. And I'm also going to give my grade on this signing. If this was during NFL free agency, I would give this a C minus grade. And honestly, I know it's only the practice squad, but the fact of the current situation that the Raiders are in, I'll give this a C plus grade. That I'm hoping if he gets activated to the 53-man roster, it turns out to be a B minus B. And, of course, I would love to have it turn into an A and an A plus. The Raiders needed help on defense. And what I did not want to see, again, because it drives me nuts, is when McDaniels, Ziegler, Patrick Graham say this is the game plan. And even if it's not working, they're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. I see this move here with Reed as, all right, something wasn't working. Hopefully, they figure out how to do something a little bit different, and it creates a spark, and it gets the wave. Josh McDaniels at his press conference on Monday said turnovers come in waves. Well, I also believe good football comes in waves as well. And all I can hope is that this move sparks the defense. It motivates some other people because Malik Reed's going to be coming for a job, and the good waves start rolling. Because if the waves don't start rolling, like Devontae Adams said, I know it's only week 3, but I ain't got time to waste. And if you don't got time to waste, make sure you're tuning in to all of our live shows this entire week. I have a wedding, so I'm actually going to be going to Fargo, North Dakota here in a little bit, which is why my schedule's kind of weird this week. But hey, Jeremy Chuggs, shout out to Nick Roloff. You guys know him as Rolly. They're going to be live tomorrow for Thursday Night Football. Going to have some fun games in tune. Live Sunday, Raiders, Chargers. We'll see if Malik Reed ends up suiting up for that game. Again, he is on the practice squad. You have to promote him to the 53. I know I personally would do it, especially against an AFC West opponent, which he is familiar with. And then I'll be live Monday, Tuesday, every single week, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, here on the Raiders Report. All right, Chugs, let's go here and let's talk about this move for a little bit. And if you guys want to stay live, we can stay live. Get those questions flowing for me. Use hashtag Raiders. If you want to give me more information on, I don't know, what you think about Malik Reed, if you guys want to turn this into a shit show, as far as I'm concerned, I'm A-okay with that. What up, Jaime Alvarado? What up, Oak Las Vegas Raiders? I see Richard Schneider, Tyrone Bailey. Appreciate all of y'all tuning in. Steven69 Hone, The Real DJ. Let's go to this one coming in from We Out Here Entertainment. Why aren't they testing Nesta to see what he can do? You know what, We Out Here? I think if you have this exact same question, type me in the comments. Watch how many people type me. If you have this exact same question right here, why aren't the Raiders testing out Nesta Silvera to see what he can do? Watch how many people right now start typing me. Because every single person that rocks with the Shield, every person that is a Raiders fan is wondering this question right here. The defensive tackle group has not been good at all. And John Jenkins has been your most solid player. I mean, look at the me's rolling in. Zalesbo, Drew, David, Robert, Joshua, Scott, Mark, Jaime, Jeremy, Daniel, Tommy, the numbers, Jacob, John. I mean, every single Raider fan is wondering the exact same thing. And I can't give you a solid answer. To me, they come up with a plan and they try to stick with it. That's my answer with Josh McDaniels in this group. Let's go to JJ's Insight. I like it, but if we need to see Aiden O'Connell and big 99 Nesta Silvera play in this next game, we definitely need to see Aiden O'Connell. And as it stands right now, Jimmy Garoppolo is in the concussion protocol, which gives me a big old shrug emoji. I don't know what to tell you of whether or not he's going to play. But if it was up to me, even if Jimmy Garoppolo passed the concussion protocol, I'm going out there with Aiden O'Connell as my starting quarterback. I think you owe it to the nation. I think you owe it to your offense because right now this offense that is ran by Jimmy Garoppolo, it stinks. And I gave this analogy yesterday, but I'll give it again. Does anybody have confidence in Josh McDaniels right now to be able to score in the red zone? Does anybody out there right now have any confidence in Josh McDaniels to be able to score in the red zone? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no down below. Honest question. I don't have any confidence in him to do it. But when you have a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo that really struggles to throw the ball past 20 yards, every single 20 yards that the Raiders are trying to pick up is like a defense in the red zone. They know that you're not going to beat them deep, so they don't have to worry about it. So they can crowd the line of scrimmage. They can play close to you. And if every single 20 yards you're moving down the field is in the red zone, that's why the Raiders can't move the football right now. Because you're in the red zone every 20 yards. So even if Aiden O'Connell might not be mentally as ready as Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe Garoppolo is a better QB between 1 and 10. He might actually be. But I need somebody that can use the entire field, and O'Connell hopefully has that ability to do it. That's why I want Aiden O'Connell out there this week. So how about this? Let's play a game here. This is what the Raiders Report's all about for some of those new watchers. We've had over 5,000 subscribers this month, and we're going to continue to grow and grow this bad boy because we got the best damn fans in all of sports. I'm a fan just like you, and I need to vent, especially after some of the shit that we have seen. So if you could pick a starter right now, are you going to go with Jimmy Garoppolo? Type JG. Are you going to go with Brian Hoyer? I want you to type BH. Are you going to go with Aiden O'Connell? I want you to type AOC. If anybody out there is typing BH, you must have the fattest fingers in the world because B and H aren't anywhere close to J and G and AOC. I'm just saying that. You better not see this. If people want to say, I still want to roll with Jimmy Garoppolo because I don't know if I want to put the rookie out there, I get that. It's totally fine. But are you really sure that Jimmy Garoppolo right now, who has 6 interceptions, who leads the NFL in interceptions, who has not thrown a single ball over 40 yards, to me it is AOC. And Garoppolo's not going to be able to practice this entire week because of the concussion protocol. He's been bad. Like, bad with a full week of practice. Imagine him not being able to practice an entire week and then just going out there on the field. It's AOC time. Whether Garoppolo is healthy or not, the nation needs to see what AOC's got up his sleeve. I see Israel. Maybe Israel's got the right answer. Caleb Williams. But I don't think Caleb Williams is going to be starting week 4. I promise you this. There's like 20 NFL teams who are like, you know what? If we could give Caleb Williams, I bet you $40 million a year right now to take him out of college and be a starting quarterback in the NFL, they would do it. Right now. Never seen him play in the NFL before. He's got a whole nother year. There'd be 20 NFL teams, I think, that would give Caleb Williams $40 million right now. King Higgins going to go AOC. Johnny Rader says Jimmy Garoppolo. Jeff, King Higgins, all rolling with AOCs. I do see that we have a super chat. First one of the day, so hey, man, shout out to Gavin. What we're going to end up doing here is this. We are going to, anytime you send in a super, we're going to put you to the very, very front of the line. You're looking at me weird. Oh, sorry. I got you. You're fine. I got you. So Gavin said, should we trade Jimmy to the Jets if Aiden O'Connell starts and lights up the Chargers? Yes. The problem is, would the Jets do it? You know, like, I got roasted for even bringing up the question after week 1. And I get it. The Raiders are 1-0. You know, they won the game. It's all good. But I asked y'all 2 weeks ago, and I said the same thing. If the Raiders are winning football games, you continue to roll with Jimmy Garoppolo. But what really ticks me off about some people is just because I ask a question doesn't mean, A, it's going to happen, and B, you know, sometimes questions, whether you think they're crazy at the time, a week or two later, that question's the same. Like, the amount of people I asked 2 weeks ago, which maybe now it's 3 weeks, would you trade Jimmy Garoppolo for a first-round pick to the New York Jets? A lot of people said no. If I asked you that exact same question right now, I think it would be 100% yes. And sometimes that happens. If Aiden O'Connell goes out there and he balls out, I would trade Jimmy Garoppolo for a lot less. And I'd be curious to see if Robert Saleh, a guy who worked with Jimmy G in San Francisco, would be okay with the idea of trading for a QB just because they are so desperate right now. The only team in the NFL that has run less plays than the Las Vegas Raiders on offense, right now the Raiders have ran 53.7 plays per game. The only team that has run less plays on offense, the New York Jets, with Zach Wilson. And Zach Wilson is no bueno. No bueno. Let's go to the next one here, man. Israel, why not play Chris Smith? Chris Smith was a fifth rounder out of Georgia. He's been a healthy scratch. I'll say this. Marcus Epps has been playing solid, so you're not going to play him over him. Merrick has had his ups and his downs, but to me, I'll always be frustrated with the Raiders not addressing their defensive line because it does. It puts so much stress on a lot of these other players out there. And actually, I don't think Merrick played bad last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everybody played bad against the Buffalo Bills. And then against the Broncos, yeah, Merrick wasn't great. He gave up a touchdown, but where are you going to play Chris Smith right now, I guess is my question. Like, I'm not playing Chris Smith over Isaiah Paul-Mayo. We haven't even seen him out there yet. Like, if you want to put him in a special teams role, okay. Like, it could be something that'll be discussed. But, like, Merrick and Epps are still your better options at safety right now over Chris Smith. Let's go to Eduardo. Will Van Roten lose his job? It's up in the air. I don't believe that he ends up losing his job for the simple fact of he still, to me, is the best right guard on this team. The way that he loses his job is more of like if the Raiders want to kick in Jermaine Illuminor and they want to get more playing time for Thayer Munford, which I don't think makes sense because Illuminor has been playing very solid as a right tackle. But the other reason why I'll say I don't think that they're going to move Greg Van Roten from right guard is the depth behind him. Jordan Meredith, it's not there. And if they're willing to stick it out for 15 games with Alex Bars, because this is a team and this is an offensive line, especially Carmen Brasillo, they believe in having continuity, chemistry on that offensive line. But if you're going to stick it out for 15 games with Alex Bars, why the hell would you not try to stick it out with Greg Van Roten? Because he is light years better than Alex Bars. Let's go to Greg Jones. Remember, if y'all want to get those questions up on the show, use hashtag Raiders, or you can super chat, get those questions, comments up here, and we'll get it rolling. Greg Jones, why we didn't get Will Anderson in the draft? Well, he went at number, 3? I mean, that's why. I mean, the Texans had pick number 2. They took C.J. Stroud, and then they traded up to number 3 to get Will Anderson. I mean, Will Anderson's a phenomenal player, phenomenal edge rusher, but for the Raiders, I get that a lot of Raider fans wanted, maybe them to trade up to get a C.J. Stroud, maybe them to trade up to get a Will Anderson, but with the amount of holes that this team had on the defensive side of the football, You can't give up all those picks to be able to go up and get somebody, especially somebody who's probably not a quarterback for the current state of the Raiders. Let's go to Robert. Aiden has an arm, correct? Even the threat of being able to go deep to Adams, Mayer, or Tucker should remove two guys from the box and into coverage and open up running lanes for JJ. Like, this is the other thing where I agree with you that the fact that now you're going to have a quarterback, hopefully they go with Aiden, that can stretch the field, that's going to open up everything for Josh Jacobs. And I know that when you think about a Josh McDaniels offense, everybody always goes to Tom Brady. They go to the quarterback. They go to the system. But the Josh McDaniels offense, and honestly, the whole Patriot way is built on the predication of you're going to be able to run the football. Your team's going to be able to play solid defense. It's kind of why I get so crazy with McDaniels where, after that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's talking about what should have happened. The thought process of him going for the field goal down 23-15, he still thinks that he's on those New England Patriot teams that have those great defenses, that he's got a quarterback like Tom Brady. Though I would hope that with Tom Brady, he would have went for it in that situation. But I agree, it opens up things for Adams. I believe it's going to open up things for Michael Mayer. You better start using Trey Tucker because if you don't stretch the field, teams are going to stack the box against Josh Jacobs. And that's all that's happening right now. If you get Josh Jacobs going, it's going to make Aiden O'Connell look a lot better. Let's go to Buckethead. Convert Hoyer to an assistant quarterback coach, start AOC, and sign a emergency quarterback. I think it's funny, Buckethead. I was looking at a lot of the stuff that you were saying before we went live here, and I don't want to say there's not many Raider fans that I agree with as much as I agreed with you, but I did. You were saying a lot of stuff, and I was like, man, I've said this before, I've said that before, and I was rolling. And this is exactly what the Raiders should do. They should do the exact same thing with Brandon Bolden. Like, I get the fact that McDaniels wants to have guys that he can consider player coaches that he can use, and you can put them in these certain situations, but it doesn't do your team any good to play Brian Hoyer. And what Devontae Adams said was true. Like, you don't have time to waste. Neither does Raider Nation. If you're going to have these players that really are just coaches, you're taking up valuable spots and you're burning a lot of money. The fact that Brian Hoyer is a quarterback, and I'm telling y'all right now, if he plays over Aiden O'Connell, I'll say it, they're trying to tank, and it's a shame. And if they end up playing Brian Hoyer against the Los Angeles Chargers this week, if I was a Raiders fan, I wouldn't go. And it pains me to say that. But why would you waste your hard-earned money going to a game when guys are making millions of dollars, when coaches are making a lot more money than me? I don't know what y'all make, but making a lot more money than me to sit there and not even try to win a football game. I mean, that's just frustrating. That's a big slap in the face. So what I want to know down in the comment section right now is give me those score predictions. We got 720 people here live on the Raiders Report, and if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Believe it or not, it does go a very, very long way. Chugs and I will probably stay live here for another 5 minutes unless we get some more questions, some super chats, and then if not, we're going to hop on out of here. Is that video already out? Sounds good. So as soon as that's out, then we'll probably hop on out here. Unless y'all want Jeremy and I to stay live, again, it's totally up to you. 730 people watching, 190 likes. Let's get those numbers up. Israel says 27-24, Raiders get the win. MTG 31-28, Raiders. Robert Jansen 31-24, Raiders. Chad, Raiders 73, Chargers 3. I don't know if the Raiders are going to score 73 points this season the way that they're playing right now. It's been a little bit of a struggle bus. But that would be dope. If there's a team that I want to drop 73 on, it's the Broncos. Imagine being an NFL team that gets 70 dropped on you twice in a year. Sean Payton might be calling up Nathaniel Hackett saying, you know what, man, that's on me. I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry. Hey, if anybody, Jeremy, you were showing the shirts. If you want to show them, you're... All right, we'll go through some supers, and then I'll show you what Jeremy was showing me. It's kind of funny. Also... we just got an update here from Dan Graziano. It's not anything Raiders related. Colts Pro Bowl running back Jonathan Taylor is still seeking a trade from the Indianapolis Colts. So he returns, next week? I think he returns next week off the PUP list. So maybe he's out 5 weeks. I don't remember. It's something like that. Either way, still looking for a trade.
I don't even know what team
What team's going to? I would have said maybe the Browns after they lost Nick Chubb, but they seem very content. They just got Kareem Hunt. Jerome Ford's been running the ball pretty solid.
Yeah.
Like, that was the team that as soon as it happened, I was like, Jonathan Taylor.
So sneaky, just a thought, because they've had disappointing running back play so far, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Najee Harris has not been good.
Harris stinks.
Jaylen Warren, they just seem not to want to play him.
I mean, Warren, like watching Warren last week against the Raiders, Najee looks like he's running in quicksand, and everybody else, or Najee's running in quicksand, and Jaylen Warren looks like the fastest running back I've ever seen. I mean, compared to the two.
I mean,
Najee Harris looks like Jimmy Garoppolo throwing a football.
Another sneaky team, just because it's for clicks, and they're going to be thrown out there as well, the Cowboys.
Cowboys will probably be thrown out there, especially after that loss,
They have
right?
Tony Pollard,
Yep.
but they don't seem to have another guy. There was a lot of Deuce Vaughn hype, but the short king, shout out Kinzuri,
Thank you, Arthur.
has not been able to come through.
What up, Galvin? Raiders paid all that money on the offense when we had no defense. Annoying as F. I mean, that's why Josh McDaniels deserves the blame here. That's why I won't sit up here and say, like, people are ripping on Patrick Graham, right? And I made this analogy 2 weeks ago, but you had all this money, all this draft capital. We had top 3 money in salary cap, 12 overall picks in the NFL draft. You could have made bigger strides to change your defense, but you didn't. You made bigger strides to change your offense, which is fine if your offense then turns into a top 5-ish offense, which the Raiders have the pieces in order to do that. But right now you're a bottom 5 offense with an offensive-minded guru. So to me, I don't think it's as fair that Patrick Graham's getting all this hate, because Josh McDaniels, and this is the analogy I said, handed Patrick Graham a Prius and said, go win me some races. Patrick Graham's crazy enough to say, and Josh McDaniels are crazy enough to say, well, let's get in these drag races, baby. Let's try to win this thing. That's what's frustrating. Pat, 45-17 Chargers. Sorry, Mitch. Hey, don't say sorry to me. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. Like, I don't want people to just give me a score prediction because this is a Raiders show and you're a Raiders fan. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. But I'm also old enough, and everyone here in the social media day and age, Pat, somebody's going to take a screenshot of this if the Raiders win, and they're going to come find you, which I think you and I both would say you'd be okay with. Isaac Hernandez says it's Aiden O'Connell time, and then LFG over on Locals. I will be live later on Locals today. I don't have an exact time set yet. I was getting ready to figure out a Locals time, Isaac. I know I usually do it at 6 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesdays, but because of, like I said, my flight status and all this kind of stuff, I might have to do it a little bit earlier than anticipated. But if you want to join me for live shows on Wednesdays, I usually do them over on Locals. Go to RaidersReport.locals.com. Let's go to the next one rolling in here. It's from King Higgins. What's up, King? And again, if y'all want to ask me a question, it's hashtag Raiders. If you want to skip the line, it's Super Chat to skip. Think of it like Fast Pass at Disney. King Higgins, I live in L.A. and plan to go to the home game. That's right. If Hoyer starts, I am selling the tickets. I want one of those top quarterbacks, but it's a joke to tank this early. I think it's a joke to tank in general. And I can't, don't get me wrong, if I could fast forward through a terrible season and I just wake up on draft day and the Raiders have Caleb Williams, Drake May, I'm a happy guy. But I can't sit here and say that I work so hard for my money every day. Chugs goes to work every day, works so hard for his money. Our Chat Sports team out here goes to work every day, works our ass off for our money. People who watch the show, I bet you go to work every day, you put in your all, and you try to work for a lot of money. I'm not saying that the players don't put in the effort, but when you're making millions of dollars, the idea of tanking can't happen. If you are going to tank, then tell your fan base that you're going to tank, and then all your tickets should be at, I don't know, preseason prices or a whole lot less. You can't charge what the Raiders are charging and then expect to tank. The math doesn't math. The common sense doesn't common sense. Like, the idea of doing it is against everything that I believe in. It is. It's a fact. Gavin, if Adams does request a trade, where would we trade him to? Also, if Adams gets traded, do we trade JJ as well? If Devontae Adams demands a trade, which I don't think the Raiders trade Devontae Adams unless Devontae looks at Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler both, and he goes, you guys gave up a first and a second round pick for me. You traded away my friend, which I think he would admit was the right thing to do. Or not traded away. You moved on from my friend Derek, which I think he would admit was the right thing to do. However, I asked you, I wanted to be able to handpick the quarterback. Why would you give up a first and a second round pick for a wide receiver, pay me all this money, and then just not even kind of listen to what I want? You wanted your guy, Jimmy Garoppolo. That's not working. So this, I'm sorry, is not going to work. Like, that's how I think that conversation ends up going down, because Adams wants to be a Raider. He wants to stay here. He wants to be a Raider more for his family so that everyone can come to the games and stuff. But if the Raiders do end up trading him, they eat $24.7 million because when they restructured his contract this offseason, they guaranteed his money for 2024. So the Raiders have already paid Davante Adams for 2024. So if you trade him, you're trading away Davante, but you're still paying him for 2024. So, like, you better get 2 first-round picks. You better get a first and then a superstar if you don't get 2 first-rounders. But if you trade away Davante Adams, this entire fan base is going to lose hope. And honestly, the Raiders players at that point are probably going to be like, what the hell am I doing here? And then it's going to be a full fire sale. The NFL trade deadline is November 1st. And if you move on from Adams, you might as well trade every single player that you don't think is going to be on your team next season. And with the amount of one-year contracts that the Raiders have, man, it's a lot of players. Somebody said that's worst-case scenario. Worst-case scenario would probably be Davante on offense. The only player that this organization will never trade is Max Crosby. That player will never get traded. That I can guarantee you. If you guys want these T-shirts, it's chatsports.com/corn. If you think Chargers fans eat corn the long way, go ahead and grab one of these before your time is up. Now, speaking of time being up, Jeremy Chuggs and I, we're going to wrap up this live show here unless we have any more questions out there, because we do have to free up some of the studio time, and Wednesday is usually the only day that I don't go live because Chuggs and I got to do a lot of the other ins and outs here. But hey, if you want me to stay live, keep sending them those questions, keep sending them those supers, and we might be able to do it. I do got another one now rolling in from Victor. Gruden's lawsuit is going in his favor. Can we see him back at the helm? No. I hope our team was together. I mean, here's the thing. You don't want John Gruden back. Why would any Raider fan want John Gruden? Like, I get Josh McDaniels has been bad. I get it. But, like, to me, I feel like, and I love Raider fans, but Raider fans remind me of, like, somebody who's been in a really toxic relationship for a long time, and they just are like, oh, well, maybe it's different now. I'll go back to him. Or you meet somebody that's worse, like Josh McDaniels, and you're like, well, now Gruden doesn't seem so bad anymore. John Gruden and Mike Mayock are going to go down in history as one of the worst head coach, general manager duos in NFL history because they could not talent evaluate. Josh McDaniels hasn't been able to make corrections. John Gruden has not been able to make corrections either in terms of evolving. If you want a new head coach, I put out a video on the channel, Josh McDaniels replacements if they fire him in 2024. All those coaches are light years better than John Gruden. Let's go to Pat. Has anyone watched Mayer run block? It's laughable. It's laughable because of how delusional we are as Raider fans right now, where, like, usually, like, if you're a winning team and you watch Michael Mayer block, you get pissed off. When you lose the 2 games that you just did, you laugh at it because Mayer was a good blocker in college. And if you don't believe me, go watch the tape at him at Notre Dame. He was a good blocker in college. The problem with this Raiders organization is you got a quarterback coach coaching tight ends that doesn't know what he's doing, and now you got Michael Mayer putting him in situations that's not favorable. Like, I'm getting angry because Michael is a good player. Mayer is a hell of a tight end. He was the best tight end coming out in this year's draft, one of the best tight end prospects that I have seen in quite some time. The Raiders just don't use him right, and he looks like a chicken with his head cut off. They're putting him in situations that make zero sense. This coaching staff should be ashamed of themselves for the way that they're using Michael Mayer. It's bad. Rebel, someone take Hoyer on a date for the weekend. Rebel, I'll leave that up to you, man. Rebel, I just need you involved into something. Also, Rebel, I have a special guest for you if you can guess.
Go home, Rebel! Go home!
Everybody spam Go Home Marsh.
You thought I was done? Go home, Rebel!
Go home, Marshall. Oh, my God, I thought you just turned off my computer. Shout out to Rebel. I agree. Can somebody take Brian Hoyer somewhere for the weekend? Take him on a fancy date. I mean, if you look at the pictures of like Aidan O'Connell to Jimmy Garoppolo to Brian Hoyer, it's crazy. I mean, it's honestly, Aidan O'Connell to Jimmy Garoppolo to Brian Hoyer looks like a Pokemon evolved, but in the wrong way. It's ugly, man. Ugly, man. All right, y'all, here again is our programming schedule. Appreciate everyone tuning in for the news around the Raiders signing Malik Reed. Again, he signed to the practice squad. I believe that he's going to end up getting activated to the 53-man, which fingers crossed on that because we need all the help that we can possibly get on the defensive line. If any other breaking news ends up going down, we will keep you updated here on the Raiders Report. Tomorrow, Jeremy Chuggs, Nick Roloff, we're going to be live for Thursday Night Football watch party. I got a wedding in North Dakota, so I will not be around. The next time that you're going to see me is live on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time when we get our kickoff party started against the Los Angeles Chargers. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Appreciate every single person watching. Yeah. We met a few people that said, I wish they'd slap that Marshall guy on the stream. We'll do it week 9, I promise. We'll do it week 9. All right, y'all. I don't know what that means. I still don't know what he said. All right, y'all. We got to get out of here. Peace out. Raiders sign Malik Reed to the practice squad. And if anything else happens, we'll keep you updated. Peace.